In the last lecture, you learned about how we can insert a store item for a particular store. Now we need to list the store items for particular stores. So let's go ahead and do that. If you go to the store item list page.dart file, you will see that we're calling a function called build store items, which is responsible for showing us the store items. But if you go to build store items, it's really not doing much, just returning an empty container. So what we want to do is right over here, build our store items and probably create a separate widget which will display the store items. So let's go ahead and do that. The first thing we need to do is we need to get the store items in the form of a stream. When we get the items in the form of a stream, anytime anyone adds an item, the stream gets invoked and we will get the item, we will display the item automatically. I'm going to use the stream builder, and I would also make it so that the stream builder will be working on the query snapshot. So making it typed. Now, what we want to do is we need to provide the stream, which we don't have. And where do we get the stream now? Now we can use the store item list view model. So store item list view model dot store items as stream, which by the way does not exist. So we need to create this property. And we need to create this property inside the store item list view model. So let's go ahead and jump over there. Store item list view model. We already implemented the save store item function earlier on. Now we can go ahead and create a property which is going to return us the stream. So let's go ahead and create a property that is going to return us a stream, which is going to be a query snapshot. We will get the store items. So store items as stream. And over here, we can return the store items. So we will go ahead and say return Firebase Firestore instance.collection. The collection in this case is called stores. Now we are talking about a particular store. So we are going to say store.storeID so that we point to a particular store using the document ID. And inside that particular store, we will have a collection which we'll call items. And we will have a function called snapshots. There we go. So now when we call the store items as stream, it is going to return us a stream which is belonging to the items collection inside that particular store ID or store document. Now let's go ahead and go back. And you can see that this is now connected, so that is perfectly fine. The next thing we need to do is to implement the builder. The builder will be responsible for giving us the snapshot and to build in items so that we can display it on the screen. The builder is going to take the context and the snapshot, and it is going to return us some sort of a widget. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say that if snapshot.has data, if it does not have data, then we will simply go ahead and return that no items were found. On the other hand, if it does have some data, then we should return something. So we're going to go ahead and say store items equals to, and now we can use the snapshot property. So we're just simply going to say snapshot.data.documents, and documents is a list, so we can map through it. We will get each document. So I'm just going to call that document item. This is a document, and we can use basically what we want to do is we have this document, we have this item, which is query document snapshot, and it has all the properties and all the data that we need. We need to use this to construct a store item view model. Now, if you go and find out that if there is anything called store item view model, you will find out that we don't have any view model to represent the store item view model. And the store item view model responsibility would be to represent individual items like milk, sugar, bread, these kind of things. So I'm going to go ahead and add another file, and this will be the store item view model. So let's go ahead and just call it store item view model. And this is going to be representing the individual item. So that's the important part, that this will be representing an individual item, milk, bread. And the reason that we're creating this as a view model is that so that it can provide the data to the view. Remember that even though we have the store item, which is right here, that's a model. You should not expose your model to the view because the model may contain some business logic. Final, store item, store item. So one of the things you will note about the store item view model, just like the store view model, is that it depends on the model, which is store item. So in order to construct the store item view model, we need to pass in the store item. And this will get a little bit more clear when we go ahead and create another function for it. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and say store item view model and this dot store item. Okay. So that's like if you're creating a brand new store item view model, then you need to pass these things up. We also need to expose two different properties from the store item view model. I mean, you can expose more properties if you want. I'm simply going to expose the name of the item and the ID of the item, which is a document ID connected to the Firestore database. Now, if we go back over here, we can use store item view model, store item view model. But I can't really create an object because I need to pass in a store item. And I shouldn't create a store item because I'm inside the view, inside the widget, inside the page. So I'm not going to use that approach. The other thing is that I actually already have a copy of document query snapshot. So somehow if I can take this item and pass it to the store item view model, then that will be good because then I can map different things. So let's go back to store item view model, and we're going to create a factory function. We will call it store item view model dot from snapshot. The factory function simply means that it is going to return you an instance of store item view model. And if you want to create a store item view model, you should pass in the query snapshot. And now I'm going to go ahead and get the store item equals to store item dot, and then from here also we're going to use a snapshot, which doesn't exist. So you can see we're using multiple factory functions because in order to create store item view model, I need to create a store item. So let's go back to our store item and just add the snapshot function. It's not a big deal. It's not really complicated. You can see it's simply a factory function right over here. Let's go ahead and add this on the top. Quick fix, import. So this is our factory function for store item. It's called from snapshot. You pass in the snapshot and it simply gets the value out and returns it. That's it. All right. Now let's go back to the store item list view model or store item view model. Now this snapshot should be working. So once we have an instance of store item, then we can construct the store item view model because it depends on the store item. So now I can say return store item view model, and I can pass in the store item, which I already have. Great. Let's go back to store item list page, and now we can use it over here. So if we go to our page, we can simply call that function by saying dot from snapshot, see that? And now we can pass in the item. In the end, we will convert everything to list. So this is going to give us store items, which if you can see, the type is list of store item view model, which is the view model, so we can use it in our view. So once we have the list of store item view model, the next step would be to construct some sort of an interface so that we can display these things. Now I can return a list from over here, and that is perfectly fine, but I would like to make the code a little bit much better. You will also see that we have something called store items widget. The store items widget is used to display, well, you can guess, store items. Let's go ahead and open up this widget. You can see that it's a store items widget. The build item function doesn't really do anything, and most of the stuff is hard-coded. So I think we can use this. How do we use it? Well, what do store items need to create a list of store items? Well, it actually needs a list of store items. So if we go over here, we can go ahead and create some sort of a function over here, final. We can say list, which is store item view model, and we will call it store items. This means that in order to create a store items widget, which is responsible for displaying all the store items, you better pass in the list of store items. Now I can go over here and I can also say store items widget, and in order to create that, you should pass in the store items. Once we have the store items, we can actually use it to construct something over here. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So this one is fine. The only thing we're going to change over here is the store items. So store items dot length. So now the number of items that will be displayed in the list will be dependent on the store items that you're passing. We still need to construct the build items function over here, which is going to return us, which is going to build us a list item or items which are displayed in the list. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the store item, which is a store item view model, from store items, passing in the index. And now I can go ahead and probably just return the list tile. List tile with the title, which will be text, and we will call it store item.name. Pretty simple. Now let's go ahead and use the store items widget. Store items list page. So if we go to store items list page, we can simply return from the builder the store items widget. And if you see, you have to pass in the store items, which is a list of store item view model. And I think we already have the store items, which are store items. Let's go ahead and save it. And there we go. You can see fish. Let's go back to some other one. Let's go to Albertsons. And now you can see bread and milk. So this is how cool it is that we are able to create those small different controls, and we were able to pass in the list. And this particular store items widget is saying that, hey, if you pass in a list over here, I'm going to build you a list over here, like the list view builder, using the list view builder. All right. So this is pretty cool that we are able to do these kind of things. Now, obviously, this is not done yet. I mean, we don't have any ability to delete this bread or milk. Or if I go ahead and add a new item, let's see what happens if I add a new item. So I'm going to say eggs. And I'm going to say the price is, let's say, 3 and whatever, let's say a dozen eggs. See that? Since we're using the stream, as soon as that collection is changed, it is reflected right over here. So our next step would be to delete the store items. And what we want to do is we want to swipe from right to left and then just delete the store item from the store. Maybe I added milk by accident, and I would like to swipe from right to left to delete the milk. So that is exactly what we're going to do in the next lecture.